Hi, Zizaran here with an update, and GGG have posted another What is Coming post. As the week wraps up, we've pulled together a list of changes we're targeting for deployment in the patch next week. We've been busy making improvements to PoE2, and here is what is on the way. A big one is that the most requested feature is Ascendancy respec. That's something I brought up on the podcast too, and Mark was a bit against it, but he said he was gonna make up his mind and give us a decision fast so that we would know what the long term of that was, whether that was that we can respec or that we can't, and he decided that we can. So redoing an Ascendancy trial allows you to respec which Ascendancy you have chosen, but only if the trial will grant you the points you already have. So that means, let's say that you've done 2 labs, but then you decide, no, I actually don't want to be Smith Katava, I want to be a Titan. Then you could do another 2 lab and respec to something else. You do need to like respec them, like you need to unspec them. Balbala will now be able to unlearn your points when you're in them, so you don't have to do the trial with 0 Ascendancy points. But either way, this is a huge W. That means that most people have to do the Sanctum with the large boss at the end. I always forget his name, but like the Time Lord. This is a huge W. I'm so happy we can Ascendancy respec. I think it adds a lot more to the game than it takes away. I don't think there's a huge need to have 2 permanent choices. You already have your base class being a permanent choice. I don't think there's a need for Ascendancy to be a permanent choice as well, especially even more so in early access where people want to play around and try different things. So such a huge W. It should be in mid next week as well. And regardless of anything, this is just a huge thing for the long term of the game, in my opinion. They also said about endgame changes, they're adding more rares to towers and hideout maps. These already don't have, or towers don't have the completion of rare monsters. Like you do just have to run to the end, but you will be encountering more rares while doing so. So just a big W as well. For crafting, since they've added more high tier runes and there are a lot more runes in the game now, one of the things I was complaining about on the podcast was that it doesn't really replace the crafting bench because like we don't have stat runes, etc. So they're adding more runes, including stat runes, and scepters will be able to have sockets as well. What they're doing is they're removing some of the lower runes from the endgame drop pool, but they are going to adjust drop rates so that we do still get a reasonable number of total runes. We'll probably get just more endgame runes. And I don't expect that this is something they maybe initially perfect the drop rates of, but yeah, either way, that's a good change. I am still not a huge fan of the rune system as opposed to the crafting bench. I find it a little bit unnecessary. I feel like they achieve the same purpose. I could maybe understand like maybe not wanting like the meta crafting the Path of Exile 2 has, with like prefixes cannot be changed and things like that. But without those, they do achieve the same purpose. They even take away a little bit of power because it's a -1 affix. But yeah, I don't know. I way prefer the crafting bench over runes, but at least they're working on it. Totem changes. This directly applies to my build, the artillery ballista. Has had some survivability issues. I found it surprisingly okay, to be honest, with good positioning, but it is an issue. So what we're getting is a bunch of elemental resistance for free. And Ironwood is going to get max Ellie res as well, which might be good for bosses, but they should be a lot tankier now. And there is a buff to Shard Scavenger, which I think is a crossbow aura. Honestly, I just don't know much about that because I haven't played that type of crossbow. Another thing that they're doing is my skills on the gem cutting tab. And I brought this up when I was doing like practice leveling with Angormus, and he was like, oh my god, yes, that would be so nice. I brought that up on the podcast, and yeah, that is going to be a gem cutting window now. So that should be just nice quality of life. Either way, like I've been really impressed like the past 3 or 4 days, the amount of changes that they've said that they've committed to. And a lot of these things were probably things that they were a little bit hesitant on. I don't even want to like take too much credit on this because I think a really good thing of community podcasts, regardless of what the person's saying in the podcast is, I think what's the most valuable is that in hindsight, GGD can go through the podcast and they can see if the person in the podcast, in this case me, I'm saying something and everybody's saying like, no, Ziz, shut the fuck up. What a dumb idea. That gives GGD so much info. And on the other hand, if everybody's saying like, yes, oh my god, exactly, that also gives GGD so much info. So I think that's really, really good regardless. And I think they should just talk to more people in general. But yeah, really excited about all the cool changes that are coming. Obviously, a lot of these things were things that I brought up and cared a lot about personally. So huge W for me, and makes me just really excited about the game long term. And yeah, just really like rapid changes. It's good to see in early access. Either way, thanks for watching. Sub if you liked the video, but more importantly, try to die less than I do.